Team episodes,
Bro.
MDV was just shirtless, and he immediately threw it back on, which is why he's asking the question if we should podcast shirtless. And before we get into that conversation, we are going to be talking about traveling and staying on track today on today's episode. But MDV, you threw that on really fast.
Bro, I got nervous, man. I thought everybody was taking their shirts off. I thought we were going to be the three amigos. Or we thought we were in the Tree of Trust, and you guys left me out to dry here, man. Gabe was sabotaging me because of my newly found Padres fandom. Doesn't like the fact that I'm rocking the hat.
It's not that I don't like it. It's a weak move.
Wait, so you're not a Mets fan anymore?
No, I am. I am. I'm still a big Mets. So sports fandom has levels. Gabe is an absolute bleeds blue and orange Mets fan. Gabe has been a Mets fan through and through the thick and the thin. And I have been with Gabe through many of those struggles. I can't say that I am as big of a Mets fan as Gabe. I've been a lifelong Mets fan, but I've had seasons in my life where they have broken my heart so many times that I've had to take steps back.
It wears you down for sure.
It wears you down for sure. And there's something about
How are they doing right now, by the way?
They're back on the
They had
upswing.
that stretch after Caden cursed them.
Yeah, Caden put some bad juju on us, and they lost like 20 of 30 games. But hey, man, they're still leading the division. The trade deadline's coming up, and they're clearly in a position to buy. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what they get.
Caden comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, did you hear that this guy got traded for these two pitchers?" I'm like, "No, Caden, I didn't hear that. I don't keep up. I have no idea what you're talking about." I was like, "Who is this player?" And I didn't realize I didn't realize that. So mid-season, just like, bro, you're out. You're on a different team. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild.
Some of those cases are like, pretty drastic in that they're, don't see it coming. They have a family that they have to move. Like, there's a lot of implications. People don't realize that there's a human behind the player too. Granted, in many cases these are superstars. They are making a lot of money, but doesn't change the fact that midsummer you're just told, hey, you're playing on this New York team. You might have established roots there or whatever, and you're getting traded to like Cincinnati or something. And it sucks for the players that go from like a contender to possibly like a rebuilding team or something like that. It's obviously exciting. A lot of trades happen where it's like a good player on a team that's just, not going to make it in the season. So they're going to move them to a contender, and then they get a bunch of young players kind of in return. That tends to be the most common thing, but there's definitely been some cases where, you're like on the Yankees and you go to the Marlins or something. It sucks.
Yeah, dude. Well, who just recently found out? Was it Kevin Durant? Recently found out?
Yeah, he found out like on an interview. He was like on an interview and someone asked him. Yeah.
Kevin Durant, consensus top 10 basketball player of the last 10, 15 years, was traded while he was on an interview. He found out during during a live interview that he had been traded. Didn't know. Somebody screamed it from like the audience or something, and he was like, "That's news to me." It happens quite a bit. Happens quite a bit in sports that trades happen and players aren't informed, and then they got it. There's a lot of cases in baseball where a player has been traded like even mid game or like prior to the game, and then he flies and plays, suits up and plays. And
there's a very, very powerful or well known, if you're a Mets fan, why am I blank? Wilmer Flores, heard rumors, and the fact is it ended up not being true, that he was getting traded while he was on the field. And he was a young kid at the time. He was like in his 20s. He'd spent his whole career in the organization, and he was like visibly emotional, like on the field. He was like tearing up because he thought he was going to get traded from the only organization he's been a part of. And it ended up not being true, or not that it wasn't true, is the trade fell apart because the player, which I think was Carlos Gomez, that he was going to be traded for, failed the physical, so the trade kind of went off. Because sometimes there's a trade that's agreed to in principle, like, all right, yeah, like we're going to trade MDV for this player, but MDV needs to go get a physical, and if the doctor flags that there's something risky, something off, that might, botch the trade. That's what happened in that case. So he was going to be shipped off, and then he ended up staying, and there's that, like, people can look it up. There's that video of him. He's like on the field, like holding back tears.
Yeah, and then physicals also are a big, like when an athlete is coming into a free agent year.
Yeah,
Oh,
big
man.
contract.
I wonder what they do for those physicals, right? Because so I recently, I brought this up on the show not that long ago. I went through a new life insurance policy just because I was just kind of curious. And they took blood, they took urine, height, weight, and I was on the, I got put at the higher level, which was a lot more expensive, by the way, because my BMI was off. So they considered me obese. But
So
I want to say like the cost difference was substantial. Like I want to say the cost difference was double per year to insure me with a high BMI versus if I was like approved at like a lower level. But neither here nor there. I wonder what they do for these physicals, because I imagine what they're looking for is not necessarily blood markers. I'm sure that's a factor. But they're probably looking at like tendons, like
Everything.
Yeah, it's all about
You know what I'm saying?
mitigating injury risk. Yeah,
Right.
like I remember, I forget who were the Mets about to sign Alex Bregman. They were about to sign some big guy,
Failed
and
physical.
it got quashed by the physical, and then he ended up getting injured the year after, which kind of like validated the fact that they had some concerns about like his elbow or something, and he ended up injuring something. I don't remember the details, but yeah, they're looking for any red flags of potential injury, whether it's injury history that maybe didn't lead them to miss any games in the past, but like, hey, he has a history of elbow problems. It's never been a big deal, but you don't want to sign him to a 10-year, $300 million contract because it might become a big deal within those 10 years.
Let's not
Right,
forget
that's
these players are investments.
yeah, but
Huge
it's such a different
investments.
angle. Could you
Huge
imagine?
investment.
Imagine if you're a player in MLB in particular is probably the most eye-opening, I'd say, because it's like so specific. But like, let's just say you're having an elbow problem. Do you go talk to the trainer about it? Like, I wonder how much of this stuff is not even like you never even bring it to the table because it'll haunt you 10 years later, if they look in your report.
Well, I mean, I think you have to, because otherwise, how are you getting the world-class treatment that you potentially could have?
Yeah,
For sure. But I mean, I think there's a valid point there of like
Just shoot up on some
underreport-
BPC.
underporting injuries, underporting, going out there and playing hurt because it's a contract year, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the big difference. Like, if you haven't had your payday yet, you're probably doing what Jason just said. But once you
For
sign
sure.
the 10-year guaranteed contract,
yeah.
you're like,
Yeah, you're
dude,
using every
no,
dollar you
I got a
could
little,
possibly
ache on my shoulder here. Can you look at
I
it?
got this thing. I was dancing at a club and twisted my ankle.
This
I
thing's
can't come out
clicking
there.
a little bit.
Bro, have you
Yeah.
guys seen
Once you
seen
get
that
your
video of the FBI agent who does a backflip at a club and his pistol flies out and a round goes off?
No,
Oh, dude.
no.
You just got me thinking because this dance, I mean, there's this FBI guy and he's like getting down the dance floor. He decides to do a backflip and his pistol, I don't know how the hell it comes out of his holster, but it comes out of his holster. And then even crazier than that, a round goes off. So like, I think it must have been a Glock. Anyway, neither
Because
here
the
nor
Glock
there.
doesn't have a safety?
It doesn't have a thumb safety. It has safety mechanisms on it on the trigger. It's a long draw pull, but I don't know how I don't know. But anyways, that's the
That's
video.
crazy.
It's out there. I'm sure. I don't know if Liz could find it, but it's pretty crazy. Could you
That's
imagine?
crazy.
I don't think anybody actually got shot.
I
but-
remember the first
Yeah.
time I ever got introduced to firearms, and
Wait, here it
Here we
is.
go.
Here it is.
Look
Wait,
at this guy. He's got moves.
did
Wait.
someone get?
Oh,
Oh, no!
it's
When he
when
went to
he
pick it
grabbed
up,
it. It's
it
when he
looked like
grabbed it.
it looked like he fired it.
no,
When
no,
he
no! I
grabbed
don't.
it. Yeah, it's
Look
when
at
he
him.
grabbed it. Look, watch, because it drops and
Oh,
nothing happens, but then he goes to grab it.
He
yeah?
grabbed
So
it.
he pulls the trigger.
He pulled the trigger, dude.
oh.
He pulled the trigger. Oof.
Oh, that was a bad. See, I didn't know that. I hadn't
well,
seen that
Because
video.
what I was gonna say before the video came up is like in movies, I feel like you always see like gun drops
drop,
and like
it goes
round
off.
goes off, and like once I was introduced to firearms, it became very clear that like just a gun dropping on its own, it's super unlikely, given like safeties and all of that stuff that like a round is just gonna go off. So that actually made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. I mean,
It's
they do a
almost
gun
impossible,
drop
right.
in California to get it on the roster. I think it's just all just a money thing. But they
Jesus.
drop a gun from like 3 feet and they see like if any part of it breaks off or whatever happens. But that's how to get on the California roster. But dude, I didn't realize. I'm so glad we brought that video up because at the time I was thinking about this a long time ago. I was like, how the hell did the gun go off? It's because the dude pulled the trigger as he grabbed the gun.
He grabbed the
Yikes.
trigger when he picked it up.
Oh, dude, that's bad. I'm glad nobody got hurt. But Anyways, I know we have a subject to talk about, which is not dancing and guns flying out, which is uh, staying fit while traveling, especially during the summertime. I feel like a lot of people are on the road. At least in my circle, we just got back to travel baseball, and many people are telling stories about all the traveling they were doing over the summer because their kids are in school, and then obviously they get out of school for the summer, so this is their opportunity to travel. And so I think travel's fresh on many people's minds right now.
Yeah, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
middle of summer. I feel like everyone's out, whether it's vacation or I know that we have a lot of people in our audience that have a lot of work trips and work travel. But, coming off a trip recently, this was just kind of front of mind. And I shared just an interesting tidbit that people did find interesting. But the funny thing is I weigh myself every day, right? Didn't weigh myself while we were on vacation, but, I left 171, came back 177.6. Like, 6.5 pounds is pretty significant, right? And I think that one of the things where I would start in kind of giving people a little bit of advice is that it tends to not be the travel, whether it's a week, maybe 2 weeks, you can definitely see like some actual changes that happen. But if most people are traveling for a weekend or a week tops, I know that, if you come back and look in the mirror or check the scale, it can feel like you took significant steps back. And that can kind of lead to one of two outcomes. One, which I think is the worst, is just being completely demoralized by kind of like the lack of progress. Like, hey, it took me months and months of consistency, and I can just lose that in a weekend or a week, whether you're basing that off of the scale, the number on the scale, or what the mirror's showing you. That they're like, well, what's the point? And they just kind of throw their hands up and they're like, I'll wait till the end of summer or worse, the beginning of the year. That's the worst outcome because you're essentially giving up because of a false sense of, everything went back, because it's really all water weight. And I try to explain that in the post I put up on social and the email I sent out today, to where, when you're on vacation, you have a lot of salty foods, you have a lot of very fatty foods, you probably don't do as much movement as you usually do. And all that, keeping it super simple, leads to a lot of accumulation of water weight. And what's going to happen is A, the scale is obviously going to go up, but B, even for someone that's, trying to build muscle and achieve a physique, like when you retain more water weight, you're going to look in the mirror, you're going to look a little flatter, you're going to look literally smaller. Like that's the most frustrating thing for some people, is like, not only did the scale go up, but like you look less jacked, like you almost look skinnier, but it really is all just this water weight that you're retaining because of the salty food, the fatty food, the fact that like travel stress also makes you retain it. So it was a good reminder that you don't have to do anything crazy. Like in 2 days, I'll be right back to where I was.
Yeah.
Because you just have to give that a chance to kind of work through your system. And that, I think, alone is a good thing for people to realize, because the last thing you should do is be like, what's the point? And not just get back to what you were doing before to get to where you got to.
Yeah. I think the context is also really important. So Gabe, you went on a trip, you were gone for 3 days, but you worked out a couple of those days while you were there.
For sure,
You were
for sure.
active, took walks, you ate pretty healthy foods.
No, I didn't.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you weren't out there pounding 17 pizzas every day and like eating fried chicken wings or chicken tenders nonstop, or like, going to McDonald's. You ate high quality foods, but you ate things that were outside maybe your normal fare. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but like you weren't, mainlining ice cream nonstop from the second you woke up to the second you went to sleep. And also, it was a three dayer, 3 dayer for you.
Yeah.
And no booze. You don't drink. So even in that scenario, Gabe came back from a vacation 6.5 pounds or 7 pounds above where he left. And like, I think if you went away for a 2-week vacation and you did, I'm not judging you. If you went to a 2-week vacation, you were drinking every day and you had a lot of, really, really high calorically dense foods, super high fatty foods, a lot of it all the time, you might be coming back, feeling pretty physically weighed down, also feeling heavier, feeling like, hey, this stuff's been in my system for a while. That's tough. That's tough to jumpstart back in. And, one of the things that I think is important, at least for me and how I look at fitness now, and maybe, Gabe, I don't know if you have a different point of view, but like when I go away on vacation, I'm not trying to stray off the path to a U-turn. I'm not trying to go on vacation and go and just destroy my body with alcohol or food that is like not what I normally eat in massive amounts. Am I having a couple of drinks? Yeah, for sure. Am I having maybe some foods that don't line up with how I normally eat on a day-to-day basis? Yeah, for sure. But I'm still also like making time to go on a daily walk, do push-ups, go to the gym, get some reps in. Are my workouts the same as if I was home at my gym? No, but I'm still moving a little bit. So infusing fitness and some concepts about nutrition as part of a lifestyle approach to even things like going on vacation is really important for me. So I don't come back, if it's a 3-day trip or a 10-day trip or 2-week trip, I don't come back so feeling so far behind the 8 ball, whether that's actually far behind the 8 ball or whether that's my perception of how I feel. That for me has been really important, that like fitness, I carry fitness with me through vacation. Vacation for me doesn't mean that now all bets are off. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. It's just that I'm not at that part of my life anymore.
U-turn, but I think you could take like a left turn. You know what I'm saying? I think actually it's warranted. This is just my perspective on it. I think a U-turn is like a dramatic shift. So let's just say you're like really rigid and then you go off the rocker for like a week or two. I do think it's healthy and supportive for the long term. Cause like, dude, I'm trying to be fit until I'm 100 years old. So I think that there's something to be said about taking time where you're a little bit off the path, like of just like, you're still training, but maybe you're having a few more drinks than you normally do. Like you said, maybe you're having a little bit more food that's not necessarily ideal. And it gives your mind a mental reset to then get back into it. I think that's okay to take a pivot, but not a U-turn. Because a U-turn is hard, especially, and it depends how long you're gone for, right? You know, when you're gone for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's tough if you go way off the path. But granted, a lot of people, especially if you go to Europe and you're traveling there for a long time, you're probably getting into more walking, which alludes to this whole thing that we talked about last time. Like it's just more movement, right? So you're burning more calories throughout the day.
My personal deviation for vacation is not super far off of what I would do if I was home.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm taking 100% deviation from my normal. I'm trying to eat when I go away. Like I'll still order steak and eggs if that's what I want to eat. That's what I want to eat when I'm home. It's what I want to eat when I'm on vacation. Maybe I'm having like a dessert at the end of dinner, which I maybe normally don't have, or I'm like having a couple of glasses of wine through the night because we're out and we're having a good time with friends, which I wouldn't normally do at home by myself. But like, I'm not like all of a sudden doing a keg stand or like, you know, mainlining like X, Y, or Z. Like it just doesn't change that much for me anymore.
Well, I think more the argument that I'm trying to make is that it's impossible to do U-turn in 3 to 7 days, or not impossible.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you can get yourself into some, you know, unworldly substances that
you
can definitely
do whatever you want for 3 days.
But if it's, you know, not alcohol, I think that alcohol can definitely contribute to U-turn. But if you're saying food and activity alone, if that's all we're talking about,
for sure,
the argument I'm trying to make is that like 3 days or even a full week isn't enough to add any even measurable amount of body fat or lose any like even detectable amount of lean muscle. Like it's just not going to happen.
100%.
What is going to happen is you come back, you're demoralized by what happened, and then it turns into a month of less activity or just loosening the reins with food. That's when that's going to happen. So that kind of is the biggest point, because I will, like, the one thing that I can be very, very honest about is, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, I think the reason that, even though I don't count daily now, but I have an idea of how much I eat, and I think just food quantity, even though food quality is very important to me too, is kind of like the bounds within which I am very successful in. When I deviate from those restraints, my food drive is very high. I am the guy that will have too many chips and salsa at lunch. We'll order them at the hotel, and then we'll have so much that I am literally full before even dinner gets to the table at dinner. And then afterwards, even though I was full before the entree came, I will order dessert even if no one else orders dessert. I will finish my dessert and then try everyone else's dessert. Like, that is who I am on vacation. I really, really enjoy those highly palatable foods. We don't go out to eat much, and that's how I enjoy it, even though it doesn't make me feel great. I don't. Yeah. I go back to the hotel and I feel literally stuffed. I have heartburn and I don't sleep well. Like, all of these things, like, none of these things are ideal by any means, but it's who I am, and it's my vice whenever we go out and travel. But all that being said, because, different to you, MDB, like I do deviate pretty significantly to how do I eat when I'm not traveling to when I am. Specifically, and the context matters there too. Like if I'm traveling for work, for some reason psychologically, like I'm still within some constraints because I'm traveling for work, like I'm there for a specific purpose. But when it's literally supposed to be a trip that's like, hey,
Vacation.
you're
Let
relaxing,
your hair
like
down.
all kind of like letting your hair down, that is the guy that I become. And but again, a lot of the reason I put out some of that content is to tell myself these things.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I need to hear it because I looked at the number of the scale, I looked in the mirror, and it's very easy if you don't have the understanding of what's actually happening to literally feel like, hey, I just outdid 3-6 months of progress, but that's not actually the case.
That's not true. Within 3 to 7 days, and I don't know the exact number. I agree with you 100% that it's a psychological. It's looking in the mirror. It's seeing maybe this water weight that has made you look a little softer, less pumped, whatever. But you haven't changed your biology significantly within that period of time. Within that period of time, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it comes down to movement for me. Like, dude, every day I train, and it's just because that's what makes me feel good. So whether I'm traveling, I'm at home, it's irrelevant to me. Every day I'm going to work out because I do it for a lot bigger reasons than like my physique. Frankly, I don't pay much attention. Maybe in the near future, we've talked about this before. I mean, I have the jiu-jitsu competition, so for me, I'm all about performance right now. I don't really care about my physique at all. But I think that maybe I'm going to switch gears coming into the new year and care about it. I've always been interested to see how jacked and lean I could actually get, but it's just not a priority. But what the priority is for me is just training every day, right? So that's what my thing is. And maybe people would probably argue that I have an addiction to it. I mean, I train every day, and it just makes me feel really good. So that's what I do on vacation.
It's part of your lifestyle. It's part of who you are. It's part of the fiber of your being. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we talked about this a little bit ago. There can be things wrong with doing too much fitness, for sure. You prioritizing fitness over family, prioritizing fitness over mental well-being, like all those things I think can get a little bit tough. I think that, when it comes down to it though, like fitness is a part of my lifestyle, and I don't like to depart from it completely when I go on vacation. And I think that that's a perfectly valid vacation.
And it makes you feel like you can kind of let loose. I mean, unless I'm doing a challenge, I drink alcohol. It's just the way it is. Like if I'm doing a challenge and I commit to it, of course I'm not going to drink because that's what I've committed to. But other than that, my wife and I love to have cocktails together. We love to go out. We love to do these things. And it makes me feel better if I go and I train hard in the morning and I feel less kind of like I'm a sloth. That's what I like. So
one of the things that I wanted to bring up really quickly, Jay, because I actually had this in my mind and I lost it a minute ago, but you were talking about like physique not being really critical to you and, critical to like how you train. And I think this is a cool topic because like you're also a very well-accomplished brown belt, jiu-jitsu brown belt. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu brown belt. I think you derive good amount of confidence from that. You have a physical appearance and physical size through years and years and years of training that has made you, and genetically, a very well-muscled, imposing looking person. It looks like you train. You have a lot of muscle on your body, and I think you can derive confidence from that. And I think that in terms of physique, when we're talking about physique in terms of being a motivating factor for men out there, for me, I derive a lot of confidence through feeling and looking like an athletic and capable and powerful human being. I'm not the tallest guy in the room. I'm 5'7", maybe 5'8" if I'm at the DMV standing on my tippy toes. But like,
depends what shoes you're wearing. If you have your Vans on,
if I got my boots on, I'm like 5'9". But like, I like being well muscular. I like being lean. I like being athletic looking. I like the way that my clothes fit when I'm in shape, and I get a lot of confidence from that. And I think that men out there who, hey, if they've gotten 10, 15, 20 pounds overweight and you're like, man, I just don't like the way that I look in the mirror. I'm struggling. I'm like always down on myself. I do think look good, perform good is a very, very valid axiom that it impacts me for sure. When I look the way that I want to look, because I've made the decisions and done the training to get to that point, I feel fucking fantastic. Like I could run through a wall in my personal life, in my relational life, everything is better. If I get off of the path and I allow myself to stray too far and I start making some poor decisions or less optimal decisions, things outside of my fitness life also go that way. So that's the reason why physique is an important aspect of it for me, is because I derive more confidence out of it when I feel like I'm in shape and I look good, because then I perform good.
I probably should have caveated that by saying, like, my physique hasn't changed much in 20 years. So I probably should have caveated that. Like, there's levels of leanness, sure, but it hasn't changed much in 20 years. So
you're not as jacked as you were in the picture by the pool with you and Rich, where you guys look like fucking living Greek gods. If we can pull that picture up, it was one of the most famous pictures in CrossFit Games history. Yeah. But you're right. Your physique hasn't changed a whole lot. And I think sometimes that's tough for us to recognize that, like, somebody who might have been very athletic and lean and muscular in their 20s or in their early 30s, who has fallen off, if they're feeling some type of way, getting their physique back on point to something that's they're more proud of, I think can have a huge impact on them. Yeah, like this is one of the most famous pictures out there. Yeah, iconic picture, dude. And you're right. You're not far from that. You are a little probably bigger and leaner in that picture. And this is post pump, but this is.
Well, so what's funny about this picture? Just actually, Hiller put something like this up of 3 other athletes from CrossFit, but they were all flexing. This picture is just us before. This is before the first event of the 20-something CrossFit Games. So, like, we were on the side of the pool getting ready. Maybe it wasn't the first event. Maybe it was like the second or third.
Yeah, I think there was an event that happened before this.
Yeah, this was a swim bar muscle up workout, and we just took a picture right before it. So it wasn't like we were intentionally flexing for the camera or anything. But yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons why at the men's club, I think it's important that people feel confident and take their shirt off, because we just want people to feel good about where they look, right? You don't have to be the most jacked dude. I just want you to feel comfortable in your own skin. I think that's really important.
I think that if any guy says that physique doesn't matter to him when it comes to their fitness goals, they're either lying or they just have never known any different. I 100% believe that. Like,
or
Jason
you
has
have
never
such an extreme performance goal, such an extreme goal in another sense, that the actual way that you look to you doesn't matter as much.
Sure,
right?
but even in that case, I think that anyone would take, like, they're making the trade-off, knowing that it's a trade-off. But I think that if they could be jacked and have the performance, they would want that. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like, it would
somebody
matter
like
to
Nate
them.
Diaz, who fought in the UFC for a super long time. Dude looked like he never did a workout in his life. Was one of the most dangerous men in the octagon for a very long time. Would smack the shit out of anybody in front of him at any time, at any day, anywhere.
I loved watching him fight, dude.
Nate Diaz was an absolute maniac. Had world-class jiu-jitsu, could strike, could take punches. Dude looked like he just got off of the bus and got picked on sometimes. Nate, not coming for you at all. All I'm saying is you were the most dangerous dude who had a physique that wasn't like Jason's. It wasn't like, some of the most ripped guys in the UFC. It didn't matter. What mattered was he was going to knock you out.
Sure.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But I would agree. Most people chasing fitness
95%
goals,
of men.
95%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excluding Nate Diaz and the like, that say that they don't care about their physique are either lying or have never known different.
I agree.
100%.
I agree with for sure.
I mean, I probably, again, maybe I shouldn't have came at it so strongly, right? I think that for me, it's just not a core priority at this time because I have other priorities. But as a byproduct, I still feel comfortable in my own skin. I think that's the key.
Right, but you feel comfortable in your own skin because you look the way you look. Like, if we took an AI app and gave you 15 pounds of body fat all in your midsection, and we're like, hey, would you be cool with this? Like, if you woke up like that, you would 100% do everything in your power to change in 30 days. I know you would.
We should have an AI app that just takes, like, all the guys on our Train Hard app and be like, if you follow this program for 45 days, boom, AI app, and just give them a.
We
give 'em
have
some-
the AI app. It's called the Train Hard app. And if you do our program for 45 days, and if you follow the protocols, if you do the work, it'll AI automatically spit out a new body for you that you've actually earned. So go do it. We have the product. It works.
Yeah.
But Jay, I agree with Gabe 100%. And I think your wife would look at you and go, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
100%.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
Jay,
Try
you
it.
do
Try
know.
it. Gain
Jay,
30
you
pounds.
100%
Gain
know.
30 bad pounds.
Dude, you told the story of doing the push-up contest and how that made Ashley feel. Like you going, that's like, how do you think the opposite
yeah.
of that would make her feel?
Oh yeah, Ashley was she liked that. She
She
liked
was
that.
impressed by the push-up contest that you got to do.
Yeah, she said it was highly attractive for her. Let's put it that way. Highly attractive.
There we go. And that's why I do a lot of push-ups every day.
That's all you need. Speaking of push-ups, I want to bring up the greatest fitness test ever created by anybody at any point. This is the most effective training tool. No, we've talked about this on the show before, but I really put it in perspective. Over the last 15 years, I've been doing this burpee test. I've been doing it for a very long time, all over the place, and I want to brand it as the Train Hard burpee test, like the Train Hard burpee test, because I feel like it is just so impactful. Yesterday, I was at the sheriff's department. I had the crew do it, and it's just so eye-opening to me how effective this tool is to do two things: to test muscle stamina and to test the ability to stay calm under, like to breathing in cadence and muscle stamina. And the burpee test is 10 minutes long. It's 15 burpees every minute on the minute. You can get them done in 30 seconds. You get them done in whatever. I typically pace it to get done at 45 to 48 seconds. And the minimum standard, if you're listening to this and you're going to go try it, the minimum is 3 minutes. Like, dude, everybody should be able to do 3 minutes. I know
Can you
can.
do 15 burpees a minute for 3 minutes? So 45 burpees total. So a clock starts 3, 2, 1, go 0, 0, 0 on the clock. You start doing your burpees. Can you get 15 of those done where you sprawl down to the ground, your chest and thighs touch, and then you stand back up? You do 15, you rest the remainder of the minute, and then your next minute starts, you do 15 again. You get them done, you rest the remainder of the minute, next minute starts, you do 15 again. And that's the minimum standard, right?
Yeah, 3. And then 5. So no, like 5 is the standard, 10 is the goal, and 3 is like, come on, we got to be able to get 3. So 3 is like, come on. 5's like, okay. And 10's like, all right, let's go. And then I think past that, we'll have
God
to see.
mode.
Yeah.
Yes, that's God mode. Legend at
That's level.
15,
So-
God mode at 20.
So we're bringing back the weekly challenge, and before next Friday's recording, the challenge is 15 burpees on the minute until you fail. So how long? Like, what is possible? There's only one way. Jay, if this
Only
is
one way
the
to do
best,
it. Yeah, you gotta
if
try
this
it.
is the best fitness test ever invented, then you got to put your money where your mouth is
Gotta try it.
and see what you get. Like, what is doable? Is 15 doable? Is 20 doable? Is 25 doable? Like, how far can you take it? I'll do it too. Probably gonna beat you, and we'll go
I'd be easy.
jump, and I'm gonna go jump and clap because
No.
without
Whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
jump
whoa.
and
Hey,
clap,
You got to hold
is
it.
not
You got to hold the
No.
Jason standard. No jump and clap.
look,
We got to
we
all
get-
be on the same page.
We get stuff about this all the time when I put this out. People are like, that's not a burpee. It's like, bro, dude, the burpee is in the eye of the beholder. Like, the reality is we need to get down to the
right. And
ground.
I think it's jump and clap, so I'm gonna jump and clap. No, okay, you call the standard. What's the
The
standard?
Jay called
standard
the
is
standard.
get down to the ground and rise back up again. And
Okay.
when I say stand up again, it just, so I'm standing, I go to the ground, my chest and thighs touch the ground, and I come back to standing. That's the standard. And I think that burpees, there's all different types. There's sprawls and up downs and burpees, and CrossFit came up with the jump and clap. But then like the clap got really gray. Like, is it behind your head? Is it over your head? Instead, go to the ground, come back up again.
Simple.
Eyes and hips
Got
got to
open
be
hands.
open. Eyes and hips got to be open and kind of facing forward. You can't be like this.
Oh, no. Well, then you're not standing. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
And
just
don't do them
making
with
sure
your
everybody's
eyes closed. Yeah.
Because we're putting this out there. There's a Train Hard burpee test. 3 means you got some work to do. 5 is the cool standard. 10 is you're doing good. 15 is Very good. 20 and beyond. Oh, let's see what we got. That's going to be tough. I think there's some people out there who can get to 20 beyond.
I do this probably twice a week, and I have done it, I don't even know how many times. I would say that most people listening, when you get to 3 minutes to 4 minutes, there's a huge drop off. Huge. I mean, yesterday at the sheriff's department, it was very eye opening. Minute 1, locked in. Minute 2, all good. Boom, minute 3. And the goal is to keep your heart rate under control. So you got to find your breathing cadence. But I'm telling you, for everybody's going to try it, get past minute 4 and you're good to minute 5. Get past minute 7 and you're solid to minute 10. After minute 10, I don't know. We'll see.
All bets are off.
Yeah, because the way I used to do this is I really wanted to hit the 10-minute time domain. This is when I was competing. And so I would only stay at 10 minutes, but I would increase the number of burpees. I think the most I ever got was either 16 or 17 on the minute, every minute for 10 minutes. I for sure got 16. I think I got 17 one time too.
I've done death by burpee before, which is just an up running count of 1 burpee on 1 minute, 2 on 2, 3 on 3, 4 on 4. And I've gotten into the, I think, low 20s.
Yeah.
That was way back in the day, low 20s back in the day. This is a little bit of a different experience, but I'm excited to try this. And I understand having the standards on like the 3, 5, 10, and that being like, hey, if we're thinking about levels of fitness and being a capable human being, only having 15 burpees in your system for 3 minutes, you probably have to address some stuff. Yeah, you gotta look at that and go, hey man, like, I might not be able to be fit enough to perform my duties, my responsible duties to my family, or like maybe I'm getting winded on hikes, or I can't pick up my kids or my grocery, whatever. I think that's the wake up call. But I do think it's cool to see like, hey, maybe there's some dudes out there who really want to try and hack it above 10 minutes, and let's just see what they got. But a cool test for sure. Cool test.
What do you got, Jay? Call your score.
So yesterday I did 10 minutes and I felt, so when I finished 10 minutes, so actually I put up a video on Instagram. I finished 10 minutes, I showed the clock, and I was able to talk to the camera. So I feel really comfortable at 10 minutes. I feel like I could definitely get 15. I feel like 20 will be a distant stretch. I think it's going to be somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. That's what I think.
Cool. I really like the fact that we're establishing the top ends, because then I think it makes the standards of 3, 5, and 10 much more meaningful. Right. Once you know the top end of what you can perform.
Yeah, and then I think obviously there's factors like, I mean, so I'm 5'9", 218 pounds, and so I'm just going to say that I have a disadvantage in the loading perspective compared to MDV, who's probably going to get over 20 minutes. But it's irrelevant because this is the test. This is like, hey, can you move your body for a consistent period of time?
Ever, dude. You got to stand behind. You got to stand behind.
This is the best.
It's the best test ever, with the caveat. Here come the excuses.
with the 225 caveat.
A guy messaged me. He's like, "Hey, if I'm 6'4", do I get like extra credit?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You get extra." I mean,
no, you don't, dude. Because I got to pick up a barbell that's 225 pounds, just like you do.
I know, I'm kidding, but yeah. So,
not kidding.
I always thought that those arguments were a little bit irrelevant in CrossFit, where it was like, oh, the wall ball's a tall. I get it. Yeah, you have certain advantages to certain body types, but that's fucking playing sports. Like, that's part of the game.
Yeah,
like you just have to roll with the punches.
You know, for law enforcement and just for dads and husbands and your ability to be capable, I think, you know, life doesn't care if you're 300 pounds, 200 pounds, or 150 pounds. Like, life will throw you situations, and I think it's important to be capable enough to be able to handle them. And, you know, just the level of the game is so varied on this burpee test, which is why I like it so much. I've done it with a probation department that, like, got 2 minutes in and was, like, literally, like, all of them were on the ground, baking and sizzling. And then I've done it with CBP, SRT we've talked about, and they got through 10 minutes and wanted to go, you know, have a beer after. Like, they were just chilling. So it just depends, and there's levels to it. I'm excited for people to try it.
One of the things that was cool about the first time we ran a 45-day challenge in the Train Hard app was that 45 burpees a day was part of the daily to-do list for that challenge. And we might have something coming in September here for you guys for another challenge that's going to be rocking and rolling. But 45 burpees a day was part of the first challenge that we did. And we saw dudes who that first couple of days 45 burpees a day took them 10 minutes. And by the end of the challenge, they were doing it in some of them from 10 minutes to 5 minutes or below to even 3 minutes. So you can make massive gains in this with exposure and training your body and getting over the mental hurdle of it for sure. But then also as your conditioning improves, as your technique improves with this, you'll also get better and better and better at it. So if you do try it and you're struggling within the first 3 minutes, don't be so defeated that you don't think that you can make progress with this. Think about it as an opportunity to try it again tomorrow, maybe pace it a little bit differently and see how you feel, and then try it again a couple of days later and see how you feel after that. I think that's one of the values of a test like this, that you can literally break this out anywhere in the world and utilize it as a little bit of a warm-up or a workout or a daily standard. And you can make this something that you just do. I know you do 45 burpees a day nearly every day.
Yeah. Well, and here's another way
right
to put it. So while we're on the subject, though, MDV, I think there's a few ways you could approach this. Option A, you could say, dude, I'm going to try this 15 burpees like they're saying. I'm going to see how far I can go. But if you're like, man, 15 burpees a minute, I can't even get that in 1 minute. If that's what you're saying, then instead, you could also give yourself like alternative goals. Like the goal of this challenge is 15 for as long as you can. So if you want to stick to the challenge, go with that. But you could also try and, start off at 12. You want to find the time domain. So if when you're doing burpees, if you in 45 seconds get 10, that's probably where you should be at. Like you should probably try and hold on to 10 for as long as you can and see what happens. The next time you do it, you could do 11 or 12. But if you're having a really difficult time, like these gentlemen who are doing 45 burpees in 10 minutes, they're not even going to get through a minute. It's not worth it to them. So instead, reduce it down so you can kind of get a little bit of that gamification going and see how far you can get.
Yeah, I think just like any of these on the minute type of workouts.
Yeah.
In a workout like this, there's some value to trying to get, if you're right on the cusp of getting 15 at the first minute, like you finish at 57 seconds and you're not completely smashed, try it again in minute 2 and see if you can get it. But if you get through 10 burpees and the clock has run out on you on the first minute, listen, no judgment zone, but maybe reduce the number a little bit and let's start making decisions that get you a little bit further along the path a little bit quicker, and we can help you out at Train Hard.
Yeah.
100%. For Jay, you doing it, you mentioned this, and when I do it, I'll probably be around here too. Like you want to be in that 40 seconds of work to 20 seconds of rest, and there's a lot of well-documented, and just that's a very sweet spot of work to rest ratio when you're trying to work both the anaerobic system with a little bit of aerobic rest. So that's kind of what you want to aim for if you're not able to get to 15. So what can you do in 40 seconds? Not at like a clip where you're like RP 10, like an RP 7 to 8, 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. And that should be how I would approach trying to build up to eventually the 15 to be in that time domain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way I describe this to people and the way I described it yesterday is like you need to look at this burpee test like you're swimming, and having a clear cadence on the flow and the rhythm of your breath is so important, because as soon as you start holding your breath, your heart rate's going to spike. It's going to be very difficult to recover. So start slower than you think. You should be able to get 10 burpees in 30 seconds. That's an easy benchmark. So it's 10 burpees in 30 seconds and then hold on for 5 more. Typically, it takes me 45 seconds. If you want to get it done a little bit faster, that's fine. But then the goal is during that 10, 15, 20 seconds of rest is deep nasal breathing. It's getting your heart rate back down. And then as you're going, you're finding your breathing cadence. Where people fail on this is after minute 2 or 3, they start to hold their breath during the burpees and they're at a moment of no return. All of a sudden, the lactic acid starts to build up too much in their chest. They can't get the stamina. Their core starts to cramp because they can't get their feet back underneath them. And a lot of that can be solved if you just found a better breathing cadence. Granted, obviously your fitness plays a role here too, but that's the tip.
And you have to find the breathing cadence early, because if I'm not mistaken, 2 to 3 minutes is right when you switch from anaerobic to aerobic. So your body doesn't use oxygen for those first 2 minutes of burpees. Like you could
sprint them, yeah.
Arguably, just hold your breath and you would get that done. You're just creating a debt for when you do need oxygen that's really going to hurt you. So I think it would be less that people start holding their breath at minute 3, minute 4. It's just, okay, now your body needs oxygen, and how efficient are you at using that oxygen, and what did you do minute 1, 2, and 3? That's why it never pays to sprint out of the gate, because you're just creating an oxygen deficit so that when you need it, You're not going to pay the piper minute 2 or minute 3, but you're going to pay the piper minute 4.
Yeah, I think like if the goal was 15 burpees a minute, no matter how long you can go, some people are going to have to sprint the first minute to get 15 burpees a minute.
Sure.
You know, let's
But
just
that's
call
where-
a spade a spade. It's a fact. You know, if that's what life put in front of you as a roadblock, you have to do 15 burpees in a minute before you can pass go to collect $200. Some people are going to have to die on the sword, die on the hill to sprint to get those 15 burpees done, and some people aren't going to get close. And then there's other people who could chill at that pace for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes probably. There's levels to everything, and there's levels to fitness. I'm not trying to say this to discourage anybody. We want everybody to try this. We want everybody to give it a shot. The training mechanism around this is for 40 seconds with a pace that you can breathe at, where maybe you can get a couple of words out, but you're not able to speak like this. And the other end of the spectrum, you're not so caught up in your breath that you can't say anything, and you're having a panic attack and your breathing is so labored that you need to stop. 40 seconds at like RPE 7.5, 8. What do you get for that number? And can you repeat that into 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes is like the standard test, right?
Yeah.
That's how I would look at this.
Last pro tip here, just because I've done this thing more times than I'd like to admit, is that, you know, for the burpees, there's different techniques you can incorporate if you want to switch it up. So obviously your chest and thighs touch the ground, and you just go down to a push-up position. Okay, great. Are you going to worm it a little bit and not make it like a super strict push-up? Probably as time goes on, yes, it's not going to be an overly strict push-up. That's fine. That's okay. But I think where people get fatigued out is actually when they're pulling their feet back underneath their body. And so you could incorporate a few different techniques. So sometimes I'll go, and as I pull my feet back underneath me and I'm popping up from the ground, sometimes I'll go a little bit wider with my feet and land legs locked out. The advantage there is that my quads don't burn out. The disadvantage is that I have to use my hip flexors more and pop up more. And then sometimes I won't go so wide and won't pop my feet up so much, and I'll land more in a squat and then use my legs to help stand me up. So these are just like little tips you could use as you're going through the burpees to just switch it up. Like, hey, on this one, I'm gonna land them a little bit lower, stand up. On this one, I'm gonna try and pull my feet underneath me and land with my legs locked out. And it just gives you a little bit of a mental break, and then also your quads and legs start to get burnt out in different ways. So I know that's way in the weeds, but it's just something to think about for those pros out there that are looking to get 20 plus minutes. Somebody's gonna get 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. I think somebody's going to be out there with the standard that we have for you can sprawl down and then you don't have to jump and clap. Like you just have to stand back up. I think it makes a big difference, not only in terms of the speed of the repetition, but in terms of the fatigue.
You
When
really
you're jumping,
think so?
yes, when you're jumping and you're raising your arms, you're going to get more fatigued overall in the system, more explosive, and then your arms get more tired. That's why the jump over the rower in workouts like death row change that workout from being very, very challenging but doable to a completely hellish experience when you're jumping over the rower. Like when you jump over the rower in a workout where you have to do burpees, 15 burpees on the minute, jumping over the rower to sprawl, you have to explode up about a foot in the air to get over the rower. And that's a whole different ballgame. That workout, burpee over the rower, is very, very different than no jump.
That's fair.
No
Yeah.
jump.
I just think for me, like the standard is just simple. I mean,
I like
think,
the standard.
yeah, it's just like, and I think it's just not getting wrapped up. It's like, what's the goal? The goal is to, you know, have a consistent standard. Take your chest and
It's
thighs.
also much clearer. It's
It's
also
very
much
clear.
clearer.
Just stand
When
up.
you have a jump standard, how high are you jumping? Where are your eyes positioned when you jump? Where do your hands need to be positioned, like you said before, on the clap? And I think that all those things, when CrossFit was in the competition mode or competition mode CrossFit, it just makes things harder to judge. This is a very clear standard. Did the chest and the thighs touch the ground? And then when you stand up, are your feet planted? And then you stand all the way up so that your knees and your hips are open, standing up tall.
That's the challenge. So when do we have to do this by then? By next week?
Yeah, we'll give it a week since we're
I wonder what
recording it on
Dennis can get
Tuesday.
on this. I bet you Dennis could do really well on this.
I don't know. He struggled really badly with with the body weight thing, which is going to be a similar experience. This is going to be a grind. I think for the three of us, this is going to be a grind. We're going to get to 15, and then you're going to start to feel the grind set in, and then you're going to reach the minute where you have to really try to go for it, and it's going to suck.
Maybe I should do this at the men's club tomorrow morning.
Woo, boy.
I don't know, man. I don't
Do
know.
it.
You know, the only problem with doing that is like you're gonna have some people that finish in like 5 minutes and others that are finishing in 15 or 20.
It's a wake up call.
Yeah, I gotta think about that. That could be really interesting though. Huh. All right, gentlemen. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens there. So coming up this week, obviously go out there, get your burpee test in. That's going to be really important. I think it's a phenomenal test. I think we've clearly communicated what that is. And then, for everybody who listens to this show, we're on a mission to level guys up. I've been really deep diving into some of this content of just people doing remarkable stuff. And I think that if you want to be able to do remarkable things when the time comes, you have to start training, and you can start training today. And if you're not training already, use our tools of the Train Hard app. I think TH Daily is a phenomenal tool to help guys be capable. I think Flex has this progressive program that allows you to get strong and capable for sure. Right now, I have a wrestling team that's only focused on getting stronger because they get their conditioning off the mats. And Flex is a phenomenal tool of doing that. And you can still stay conditioned because Gabe is in really good shape across the board. So
also,
make sure you check out our.
Let me give Gabe a shout out for Flex.
Let's go.
Dude looks incredible.
Dude
looks incredible. I got to give my boy props. Gabe looks incredible with his.
Hey, are you narrowing your back, Gabe?
No, dude.
He's just built for speed.
Some of us are in Persian. Dude,
but no, all the props go to
hair,
Gabe
man.
on this, man. He committed to the Flex program years ago. He's put in the hard work. It's an aesthetic peak type of program, and the dude looks great, man. And oh, by the way, he can still throw down. So I'm very proud of my boy. Hell yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And to talk to the conditioning piece, like we do conditioning in Flex. I don't know why people think that we don't do conditioning in Flex. And I think that it is like the perfect amount to just like maintain, like if you want to increase your conditioning for the mats, like really kind of improve that side of things, TH Daily is great because you're going to get some sprint conditioning, you're going to get some aerobic stuff, you're hitting the different energy systems, great way to do that. But if you're coming in with because I know that a lot of people ask like, hey, I don't want to lose the engine, I don't want to lose that. People always underestimate how much they need to build these systems or muscle, but they also like overestimate how much it takes to maintain. Like if you're just hitting 1 or 2 sessions per week of these things, you're going to stay at the level that you're at, or at least keep it within like arm's distance to where if you ever needed to build that back up, you can jump on a program like TH Daily, if you have something coming up where you want a little bit more conditioning, and you'll be right back to where you work in like 2-3 weeks. So anyone that thinks there isn't conditioning in Flex, there absolutely is.
100%. Speaking of which, I'm going to the belly of the beast today. I got a message. Mason Fowler, he fights on July 31st, which is like in a week from now.
Yeah.
Dude, he's looking super lean right now.
Dude, Mason is jacked.
Super lean right now.
What is he? I think he's competing at.
Because I've seen him all over the place. I've seen like big boy Mason Fowler, and like right now he's like lean.
I think he's 205 right now because he's tall. But it's because when he was fighting at ADCC, he was fighting for them, it's very important because you have to identify the weight class you think like, okay, I could be in this weight class up to this weight class. Where do I think I have the best shot at like dominating? And they need to adjust accordingly. But in UFC, what he's about to fight in, his contender, I think they're 205 or below. So yeah, dude, I mean, he's light right now. To put in perspective, I'm competing at 222 with the gi on. So no gi would have been at 215, I think is the no gi equivalent. So
hell yeah.
We'll see.
How much does the gi actually weigh?
A lot when it's sweaty.
That's the best way to put it.
At weigh-in, how much is it?
If you have like an appropriate IBJJF gi, that's like because there's rules, right? I'd say safely 4 or 5 pounds, safely. Again, to MDV's point, if it gets wet, like 30 pounds.
Sure, but like at weigh-in,
the heaviest thing in the world.
Yeah, at weigh-in, I measure it by 5 pounds. So if I have to be in at 222, that means safely I should weigh like 216 to be like really no problems. That's what I'm doing. All right. Well, hey, make sure to check out the Train Hard app. Make sure to keep training hard. MDV, Gabe, appreciate you guys.
Let's go.
Have a great day, everybody.